What up, y'all? It's your boy King Dom. Welcome to the Playlist Retreat 2018. I'm here with Rhyme Fest, Cam Obi, and a big reason we brought y'all together. First of all, you're not originally from Chicago, but
Right.
you are in Chicago, a resident, and a big part of the scene coming up in Chicago. And Rhyme Fest, longtime Chicago resident, world-renowned, known writer, and doing big things always. So I wanted to bring you guys together for a conversation centered around Chicago a little bit. Working with a lot of the young guys coming up, and we're still working with a lot of the youth, but also building that foundation for Chicago from the beginning. How do you guys see Chicago in both sides? I know we talked about a little bit before. You not subscribing to the positive and the negative side of Chicago, or what people perceive as negative. Let's talk about that. Is there a positive and negative side of Chicago, or is it just perception?
It's interesting because it's like every 15 or 20 years, it's a different city we talking about. So if you go 20 years ago, it was like, man, LA with the Crips and the Bloods. How do you see?
Yeah.
Then you go 10 years from there, it's like, man, what's going on down south, man? Louisiana and they woo-woo. Now 10, 15 years later, what's wrong with Chicago? Really, we have and I think you talked about it best, a systematic issue, you know what I mean? And it's based off of exploitation and media more than it is off of reality, right? Because what we do know is the vast majority of Chicago is a safe place to be and safe place to live, but you wouldn't know it by looking at TV or by listening to music. The vast majority of our people are waiting on the bus stop to go to work or go to school and trying to make a better way, you know what I'm saying? But who's telling their story, you know what I'm saying? And we do have some people, but it's like candy to talk darkness, and so how I view everything is that there is light and there is darkness, and the only thing that we can be is balance.
And that's real.
How do you feel coming from the side of Chicago, working with people like Chance the Rapper and Saba, No Name Gypsy, some of these people that are coming up that have a little bit of they're a little bit different than the drill scene.
Right.
Have you worked with any drill artists or talked to any? Like, how have you seen that dynamic?
I mean, like, I definitely know some drill artists or producers and stuff. I never made any music with them, but not because I have anything against them. Just that I never made that kind of music, my whole life. So I kind of look at it. I look at it as I look at it like this. It's like I remember because a lot of people do like Ryan Fest was saying, like in the media, it's like candy to speak darkness, and a lot of people do speak negative about these kids who come from the hood that are essentially speaking their stories or their lives or whatever. But I remember somebody said, and I wonder what you think of this too, this quote. Somebody said, what was it? If you don't like trap music, then support a living wage. And that made me think, because I was like, that's kind of real, because a lot of what people don't like about trap music is the content and what they're talking about. And I think that goes back to the theory, though, that the root of the issue of the violence in hoods across America is economic, the so that's a piggyback off of that theory, but that's what to answer your question, I feel like I personally don't have anything anything against drill music. I don't think that there's any, I don't draw any dichotomy myself, because a lot of those kids I grew up with, at least where I'm from, I grew up with kids just like that. My neighborhood, for example, I was the only kid that was into the music I was into in my neighborhood. But it didn't mean that I was against everybody that was around. Those are my people. Some of those people are my brothers, cousins, best friends. So it's just, I just don't really think too much about it. It's just I just go where my sound is appreciated.
So the real question for me
hold on, I want to kind of respond to that, and it's not that I don't believe that people should have a living wage.
Yes.
I just think we should ask ourselves, where does a living wage come from? Do you really expect McDonald's to give you a living wage?
Exactly.
Do you really expect a corporation that's in your community to exploit you, to not exploit you?
Right.
Yes.
So I think sometimes we ask for the thief to give us our jewelry back, and we expect that when that's a That's not a feasible expectation. So now,
Wow,
where does
that's
a
so
living
deep.
wage come from, right? It brings us back to that. I think, and we create these things and we say these words like trap. And really, we built a wall for ourselves.
Yeah.
Right,
You
that's
know what I'm
very
saying?
true.
And so
That's
it's kind of like if we're gonna talk truth and living wage, okay, through trap or through this thing that you say, you actually created a living wage for yourself and your community. Now what are you doing with it?
Yes.
Are you doing the same
Thank you.
type of exploitation
Nope,
of
yep.
community that the
Uh-huh.
people who didn't give you a living wage did of you? We keep passing down generational curses, right? And so like I
Yeah,
think
for real.
once we start speaking differently,
Okay.
calling ourselves different names, like what you name yourself is who you are.
Right.
Like when somebody, my government name is Che. I was
Okay.
named after Che Guevara,
Yeah.
a revolutionary to Castro, right?
Yes.
I didn't know who Che Guevara was, but as I was growing up, when people would always be like, the revolutionary, that formed how I rapped.
Wow.
That formed who I responded to and why. I think that we have to think about our names differently. We have to think about the words we speak and the names we call ourselves and our music differently. And I think that just by speaking the word in a more forward direction, we will move more forward. You know what I'm saying? And so it's not that I have anything against anybody or people. I think that we need more free information and education, and we need to find out who our tribe is and roll with
Yes.
them.
So let's go
And
with
stop
that.
and start rolling with the exploiters, asking the exploiters to have
what we need our
to
back.
have mercy.
Yes.
The enemy ain't gonna have mercy on you.
Yes.
Right.
Get it through your head.
So let's go with
You know
that.
what I'm
Like you
saying?
said,
That's
a big
what I
thing,
wanted to
an
say.
issue I see with Chicago is, like you said, the generational curses. So let's talk about that. Both of you talked about how both of you did not come up with your fathers.
Yeah.
And that's fatherlessness is probably one of the biggest things that's affecting the black community. So what about that? What is your personal stories of healing when it comes to your father, and how does that correlate to what needs to happen in Chicago when it comes to healing?
Well, I think we have to be more loving and understanding, right? Like we blame fathers for not being in the house, but when I finally found my father, he had been homeless for 35 years. My father didn't run out. My father fell in a hole. A lot of black men fall in a hole. And we be hard on each other. You know what I'm saying? And we take our own experience and be like, forget everything else but how I feel.
But very loving to the captors.
You know, well, not even that. I'm not even putting the enemy in it right now.
Right.
I'm just saying
It's
we
all
get
like
caught up in our own
self-accountable.
feelings,
Yeah.
and then nothing else matters but how you feel, not understanding what your father's story was,
Right.
what your mama's story was.
Right.
And you want somebody to forgive you when you repeat a generational mistake or when you repeat a generational curse, but you ain't got no forgiveness in your heart. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I had to forgive my father.
Yeah.
I had to love my father, and really I had to forgive myself and stop punishing myself about my father.
And you said that forgiveness came before you even found it.
It came before I went to look for my father. I had to decide to have love because divine love has no business. It has no anger. It has no resentment. Divine love, bro, is supernatural forgiveness. You know, and we it seems like we save that supernatural forgiveness for strangers.
Yeah. Talk about
You
what
know what I'm
happened.
saying?
Real,
Talk
though.
about what happened when you picked up your father. I thought that was key when we talked before about what happened when you picked him up.
Well, you could go see, we did a documentary called
you
In My
built together.
Father's House.
Yes.
So you could download off iTunes, Amazon,
okay.
In My Father's
Oh,
House.
you did it about that?
Yeah,
Oh,
but you
okay, I
could
didn't know
could
that.
see the whole thing unfold.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so cause I filmed it. I filmed it because I was like, I want my children from when I'm traveling the road and I ain't there for that game or this or that, you know, I want my children to forgive me one day.
Yes.
So you have to set something up now to show them what the story was.
Right.
You know what I'm
That
saying?
makes sense. That makes
Like when when I met my father, you know what I learned more about my father, man? I learned like, and then I love to hear your
Okay,
story.
yes. Yeah, no, go ahead.
But my father survived 35 years of homelessness, not because he was so tough in terms of machismo.
Yeah.
My father was funny. It's funny.
Okay.
He uses humor. He uses
Survive.
wit.
Wow.
He uses cleverness to survive. And I realized what makes me successful in music.
Is that? Yeah.
And then that brought my DNA and a circle closed where I could now stop being insecure and hiding behind others.
Oh, that's
So you close that generational curse right there.
I closed one of the curses.
Right.
There's many. There's many.
Yeah, it's a process. Trust me, bro.
Process.
You know
Trust
what
me.
I'm saying?
That's crazy as fuck.
So your own story, Cam. You said you didn't know. You just met your father probably 4 years ago, right?
Yeah, 4 years ago when first met him for the first time, never knew what he looked like. Just met him for the first time when I was 24. Yep.
And
What was that like,
moment
bro?
Man, like, like the biggest thing for me, I mean, obviously, it hit me like afterwards. I was like, yeah, like I was naive, but I had this image of him, of being this, I had this image of him in my mind of being this person that I could just be proud of, I guess. I don't want to
Even though he wasn't there.
even though he wasn't there, right?
Come on now.
Exactly.
Let me
Thank
find
you.
out.
Thank
You have high
Thank
expectations.
you. I had high, right. Even though he wasn't there, that's a good point. He said that because I realized that after the fact, I was just like, duh, of course not. Like, but anyway, but it's funny. Like, I have a good friend of mine who was raised in the foster care system, and the way he put it, like, he said everybody in the foster home would always, fantasize about meeting their parents, and everybody would always be like, yo, my mom gonna be like, when I meet her, she's gonna be like Janet Jackson. My dad gonna be like Will Smith. And I was like, yo, I felt the same way about my dad. And with him, he met his father. His father was in a similar situation as your father. His father was a drug dealer, in and out of prison, and ended up homeless too. And for him, it was the same thing when he met his dad. It was like, damn, of course. Like it was just like a thing where it's just like, I don't know. This is.
But hurt
were you
disappointed?
by what
Yes,
when you met your
disappointed, but it's because I realized I set my expectations high as fuck. I thought my dad was gonna be like, goddamn Will Smith. Like,
Right.
I had this idea in my head. I thought he was gonna be just like this dude. I'm like, yeah, that's my dad.
It's
That's my
amazing
pop.
that you would think that, even not knowing him for 24 years, that you still already just believe the best.
Yes,
Because he's
right.
your father.
Yes.
And you love him even though you don't know him.
But you know what?
Yes.
I do want to say,
Okay, yeah.
we be hard on black men.
Yeah.
And
Yes,
we be
that's
hard
real.
on fathers, bro. When really it's not as much fatherlessness in the black American family
Yes.
as we always put out. What it be is, just because your mama and daddy ain't together, don't mean
yes.
that everybody father ain't in their life. And we look at that number of single motherhood, and then we take it to mean ain't no daddies.
Nah.
The majority of men that you see today be with their kids, bro.
Yes, that's
I see
real.
black men with their kids, and we
Yes.
really got to start saying that
Right.
and
Yes.
putting that out there because
Just
that
say
is
that,
the
like,
truth.
that
It's
is
the real
the story.
truth.
Because yes, the fatherlessness is a stereotype. It's
We
a
got to
trope.
learn to get along with black women. That's
Yes.
the real problem.
That is the
We're not
big
talking
problem.
about the big problem. The big problem
Yes.
is our relationships.
Mm-hmm.
More so
There's gotta be a
than
healing
our
there.
relationships with the woman. More so than our relationships with the child.
That's another generational curse.
You know,
Yes.
come on now. Let me
But-
find out.
yeah.
We got a problem.
But yes, but my dad, another big thing I took away from meeting him, we talked about it earlier, was I realized there was a generational curse that I became aware of immediately off the bat. Like, there's a lot of things that I was carrying in myself that I didn't understand where they came from. Just certain things didn't really understand until I met him, and I never met him a day in my life, but we have so much in common, and it just threw me off. I was like, how do we have so much in common? I never even seen you before. And then it just hit me. I was like, damn, so if I had kids right now, those kids are gonna have the same shit I have. Like, all the problems, all the good and the bad, they're gonna have it on top of their own shit. So it hit me right there in that moment. I was like, I can't have kids. I don't want to have kids until I've worked through as much of these curses as I can, so that my children could have as close to a clean slate as possible. Because I realized how hard life was for me, carrying not only his shit, my grandfather's shit, my mother's shit, my grandmother's shit, I'm carrying everybody's shit. I realized that. I was like, if I'm carrying your shit, I must be carrying everybody's.
Yeah.
And I was like, no fucking wonder it's been like, I've been, going through all this shit I've been going through. I'm going through your shit. The shit that you didn't take care of. Yeah.
But you know
That's
what
what
though?
it
You a different kind of guy though, man. Like
Mhm.
you got a really good heart, and because you know what you know about it,
Mm-hmm.
what I found, at least in my situation,
Yeah.
I wasn't ready. But when I had kids,
Mm-hmm.
somebody gave me a ill story, man. Somebody I really looked up to.
Okay.
I said, man, I don't know how to tie a tie. I don't know how to fish. what I'm gonna get is shorty, man, that like, you know, you start feeling insecure about raising a kid. This wise man said to me, man, he said, all right, go get a ball, go in front of your son, throw the ball up in the air and catch it. I said, what? He said, your son don't know how to do that. And he gonna look at you like a god. And he gonna be like, just show me how to do that. And he said, think about how many light years ahead of that child you already are. Stop thinking about what you gotta learn and what you gotta do, and teach them what you know. And as time goes on, you'll be right on time.
Right.
And so what I'm saying is, you ain't gotta wait to have your shit together, bro.
That's the real. Yeah, that's true.
You're gonna get it together when you have a life that you have to be responsible for. At least that's what happened to me. You know
that makes sense. And as long as you're still mindful and having understanding, at least I could approach it with understanding. Okay, I know that my son or my daughter, whatever they're going through, I know that they're going to be going through not only their own stuff but my stuff too, so I can be at least sensitive to that fact.
And they may not have to go through your stuff. Like in fact, because of how you teach them, you might dispel the curse right there.
That's what happened with me.
Come on,
my dad was alcoholic. I'm not an alcoholic.
Yeah,
that's true.
And
he dispelled the curse through an example.
You're right.
Through an example,
100%.
that's true. So there's other ways of doing it.
Yeah, sometimes we think too hard.
Yes, it's
Get complicated, you know.
Exactly. No, that's real. But it was a transformational experience for me meeting my father. It's still an ongoing experience, and I'm thinking that it's supposed to be like, okay, now we're father and son.
We're
like,
family.
I
thought that too.
Yeah, and I was like, damn, this is a process. But hearing your story definitely just made me just think a lot about it. Made me just want to, as soon as I go home from here, I'm just gonna hit him up. Because the thing about my dad, he acts like since he wasn't there, he likes to try to take credit for accomplishments that I've had made in my life, by saying like, oh, that's my genes in you. That's why it happened or whatever. Or my sister, for example, who's still
you
like
get a feeling of like anger when you hear that sometimes.
Resentment.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. It's disrespectful. I feel it's disrespectful to everybody.
You know what you got to do with that?
Yes. What I need to do with that?
Let it go and let them have it.
Yep.
Okay.
Maybe so. Perhaps. Maybe.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Just like don't even like feel it. Like you're like, maybe. Like, you know what I'm saying? And when you throw that out like that, he'll stop doing it.
Okay.
Because you accepted it.
Okay, yes. Okay, I feel that.
Maybe it is.
Right, maybe it is. Right, because I do recognize certain
it's the
things.
denial, bro. It's our denial of ourselves, where we come from. It's like when grandma say crazy stuff, because she kind of old. Like, she old enough where she could say, grandma and grandpa could say crazy shit.
And nobody.
So guess what you got to do? Let them say it.
Oh, yeah.
I feel that.
And then when you learn to do that, imagine what kind of beast you going to be in the street when they try to rile you up with words.
That's real. That's
Practice love at home.
That's true. That's,
because
like you said, you had to forgive your father before you even met him. My thing is, like,
But think about what you just said.
Okay,
you was like, it's disrespectful.
I felt like it was disrespectful.
No, it's that right there.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's what get every black person that I ever known all my life in trouble. Is feeling disrespected.
Right.
Disrespect to black people is something we do not tolerate.
And that goes full circle into the violence, though.
Bro.
But that goes full circle into violence, though. Because everything's about
he
respect.
Disrespected me.
Right, so now you gotta go
start right there, bro. You just talked about
the root
of why we go to jail.
Pride.
Right, that's those nigga moments from Boondocks.
I feel like it's disrespect.
What is a real nigga?
Bro,
right.
Are you real stupid? Or
like, so what I
no
do,
idea.
like I kind of reimagine in my mind what disrespect really is.
Right.
Okay, yes.
Disrespect ain't your ignorance.
Nah.
Disrespect is when you knew better.
Oh yeah, and you still did it.
Yes.
Bro. Disrespect is when I know you knew better.
Right.
Yeah. That's real. That's real. That's it.
you know I'm married and you come at my wife in the DMs.
You knew we was married.
That's disrespectful, yes.
That's disrespectful.
That's disrespectful, yes.
Disrespect and you just trying to holler at my wife.
Right.
Exactly, that's true.
You may not know.
It ain't.
You may not know.
Right, exactly.
Like, we gotta center ourselves.
Yeah.
We gotta get back to the middle of peace, bro.
More thinking and less reaction.
Right.
less reacting.
Yeah.
Sometimes less
I think
thinking
black people,
too.
we do a lot of reaction.
Feel,
You know what I
internalize.
mean?
Like, yeah, internalizing and taking accountability. That's what it is.
Come on, bro.
You know, yeah,
Accountability,
exactly.
My
bro.
question is, why are so many black men so quick to be okay with going with jail? Like, why aren't we thinking about these things? Like, before you go shoot somebody, why aren't you thinking about all these things? Do you really want to be in jail with a bunch of men for the rest of your life? You know what I mean? I just feel like, nope. You know, it's easy for me to look at because I didn't grow up in that situation where I
Okay.
feel like I needed to do that. But
Yeah.
it's hard for me to understand. Like, you didn't think about none of this stuff. It's all about your pride and your disrespect, and you feeling like this what needs to happen to this person because they doing this on your block or whatever. But you can care like like my cousin right now. He's in and out of jail. He's been in and out of jail since 16 years old.
Yes.
His mom had him when he was 14. You know what I mean? So he has no father, no nothing, no guidance. He's been in and out of jail. And his first thing, he's already broken his probation since he's been out. My dad asked him, you know, what's your deal with going to jail? I'm not afraid of jail. And I'm just like, I don't get it. What does
That's
that mean? What does that mean
Yeah.
you're not afraid of jail? Does that mean you like to go to jail? I don't understand. You know what I mean? What is up to that? What is up with that mindset?
Yeah, what do you think of that?
I almost think he's
What
more
do you make of
comfortable in jail because he's been there so
Well,
long.
I mean, you know, I think number one, I want to separate that from black people.
Okay.
Because, again, I believe the majority of black people don't want to be in jail. And I believe the majority of black people who are in jail for crimes that they didn't really commit, or crimes that were hyped up to the level. There are people doing football numbers for weed. I don't
Crazy.
think that that's right. You know what I'm
Right,
saying? I don't think there are people in jail for tickets.
Yes.
For parking tickets.
Parking
In
tickets.
Chicago, bro, tickets be making people lose their house and their
Yes.
family and their jobs
Yes.
because of unjust laws. You get a ticket,
Yeah.
it's $400. If you
Right.
don't pay it, it doubles.
It double, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? At least in Chicago, and
Chicago,
the
yes.
police that are writing tickets are only in the black neighborhoods. You know
That's
what I'm saying?
crazy.
So I
I didn't
want to,
even
when we
know
talk
that.
about jail and the prison system, I don't want to make it like we always put it on ourselves, like we making so many bad decisions and we
Yes.
quick to blame ourselves. Bro, that was the trick. That was a programming trick.
Okay,
The
yes.
majority of people I know, man, is just trying to make it the best way they can.
Yes,
Under the
same.
circumstances they in.
Same.
Now, in terms of your cousin, I can't speak for him, but what I can say is you just told me about 3 generations of people in your family that are talking about one person.
Right.
So that means those other 3, the majority are doing okay.
They're doing good,
And
right.
thinking on the right level.
Right.
Yes.
So I just think that sometimes we be hard on ourselves.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
That's
saying?
real.
Like,
That's real. That like
know?
yeah, that like we're hard on ourselves. We don't have like, having understanding and like empathy to the point where you could like you were saying with your father, you were able to like at least try your best to put yourself in his shoes, and allowing yourself to do that allows you to see like the story that he had, so that you can like understand where he came from.
we talking about we really talking about how to grow.
yes.
Yeah.
Right
yes.
now, us at the table, we
Yes.
talking about how to think better,
Yeah.
Yes.
how to put things in perspective, how to not think about the worst, how to make the cup more full than empty.
All the time.
Like that's what we meditating on right
Yeah.
now, bro.
That's the real.
You know what I'm
That's-
saying?
I think that's really,
You know?
it's what gets me through life is just having a positive mindset, learning that even your negative you grow from. Your negative is really positive at the end of the day because you can look at that situation and become better. I was mad at my dad for years, man. Just through the stuff we went through with alcoholism and but as I got older and I see people around me that didn't have certain stuff. My dad was there. My dad was at the football games. He was hard on me. He was almost too hard on me. You know what I mean? Yelling from the stands. And I even resented that and got angry. But when he shielded me from my grandfather, and I didn't know why until I got older and realized my grandfather was a sexual predator. You know what I mean? I got uncles that are my same age. You know what I mean? And he was a serial abuser. He beat my dad and his kids like they were adults. You know what I mean? And that helped me, man. Like, I have a father who literally wiped out 5 generational curses that I never even had to
experience. Right, that's real.
That were one person over. You know what I
And
mean?
imagine
And it
if
was-
you honored him and thanked him
I
for
cry
that.
and I thank my dad.
Yeah,
And I thank him for
yeah.
butt whoopings even now.
Yeah,
Because,
that's
you know what
real.
I mean? I think about my butt and I'm like, man, that kept me out of jail. I was more
Yes.
scared of my dad than the cops.
Yo,
And
I
man,
would
see
love to
that.
talk about that because I don't believe in whippings.
Word.
I don't
yes.
believe it.
No?
I don't believe in spanking
I
kids,
think
bro.
really?
I don't
What's
believe.
your,
I
at
don't
all?
believe. I don't believe in
I
putting.
feel
Your,
you.
Not even
I ain't
boys.
saying. I ain't saying I ain't spanked my son like growing up. I'm saying I was ignorant. You know
Yes.
what I'm saying? And
I feel
I ain't
that.
know no better.
I don't know,
I can't
man.
imagine. Okay, do you
I
got
think
any
it depends
girls?
on
You
how
got
it's done.
girls?
I don't got any kids.
All right, all right. You got kids?
Nuh-uh, not yet.
Bro, I got a daughter.
Okay.
I look at her and can't imagine.
Because I
Right.
don't feel girls need
Thank
it
you.
as much. Though.
No.
Boys,
no.
though.
Come on, bro, don't do that.
Come
Because
on, man.
when
Yes.
you start talking like that, you start making exceptions
Yes, like based on gender.
based
right?
on gender.
Yes. Yeah.
And now you're gonna be like, well, my boy can stay out, but my girl can't.
Yeah, that's
Now
so
this
real.
can happen, but this,
That's
and then where do
true.
you draw the line
Right.
with exceptions?
Because you
How
gotta
does
be
that
harder
fair?
on your girl when she get
That-
older.
right.
and
You
less
got to
harder
judge
on
it by the
right.
child,
You got to judge about it. Yes, whoever.
not the gender.
regardless.
But the thing is,
child.
no matter what my
Yeah.
daughter was, I can't imagine putting my hands on her. My daughter act like her mama, and sometimes I can't stand her mama. But I can't imagine putting my hands on my daughter. Like so,
Same.
so
I
I
don't
don't.
even have one, but I
I
can't
think when
imagine.
we spank our
My nieces and
children,
nephews.
you know what you teaching them
What
to
up?
solve a problem by
Yes.
being physical. That's all you really teaching them.
Mm-hmm.
You teaching them. You're not teaching them. Okay, let me tell you what the spanking argument is,
Okay. Yes.
and what my argument against it
Okay.
is.
Yes.
I need to hear this.
Yes.
I'm a proponent.
I'm gonna put the Bible. I'm gonna put the Bible aside because there's a lot of that we need to just
Yes. Let's put it aside for a second.
put that aside.
And just,
People
yeah.
will say spank your kids so you teach them what not to do and what to do and how far. What I say is I don't know no adults, me,
Mhm.
in control of themselves enough to spank their kids in a way that teaches a lesson. Every time I ever saw an adult spank a child,
Out of anger.
it was out of anger. It
Thank
was
you.
out of reaction.
Thank
I
you.
ain't never seen no adult say, I'm gonna wait till tomorrow to spank
I've
you
seen it.
when I get myself together. It's out of a reaction. Now, if you spanking your child out of reaction or emotion,
Yeah.
you already teaching them to do the wrong thing. You
Yes.
teaching them to react out of an emotion.
You don't
You
think
know
it's
what I'm
possible
saying?
to do it from
And
at all?
you missing a teachable moment.
Yes. That's
Well, and I think a lot of us spank because we too ignorant
Mm-hmm.
to teach.
Yes.
And
yes.
and I took so as my kids was growing older, when I start getting this mentality
Yeah.
and looking, you know how we talk about white folks letting their kids run wild and
Yes.
blah blah blah.
Yes.
Bro, the reason they got mind control over us is partly because of that. They teaching them through experiential. They let the kids fall and hurt themselves and be like, I told you, Johnny.
Yeah.
Yes. There
You know what
go.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then Johnny
Micromanage our
learned on
kids
his
too much,
own.
Yeah.
But that's the
That's-
best
let
way
the
to
world
That's
teach
the best way to learn.
Yeah.
Come on, bro.
That's the best way to fucking
we
learn.
hinder. We do. With them spankings, you know what you're doing? You're creating a box
Yes.
for your child to live in a box.
Mm-hmm.
And then I meet so many kids, black people, bro. Now this is something I will put on black people.
Mm-hmm.
I meet so many black people that are afraid to go out of their neighborhood, out of their
Yes.
city,
Yo,
out of
that's
their
the
state,
real.
out
Out of their
of
genre,
the country,
I don't get
out of
it,
the
yo.
genre
Yeah.
of music.
Truth.
You
Yeah.
know why? Because it's a stick
They
waiting
won't
for
do
me.
experiences. Yeah.
That's that's crazy. That's crazy.
And when we want to correct each other behavior, we do it by fighting.
straight
We
up.
was taught that, bro.
And
Certain traditions
Yo.
we gotta leave behind, bro. And I think spanking is one of them.
spanking is one because like I feel like for me, growing up, like what it did to me, because I was never a violent person in my whole life. Like I only got in probably one fight. I won though, but still my
Right.
whole life. But
Want to know.
That's because you're clever.
exactly. Yo, but yeah, like it was because I mean, just my nature just was not that. So whenever I got whoopings, like it's interesting what it did to me as a child. As a kid, it was funny. I had this habit where I would like bang my head against the wall. I would run to I was like probably 4 or 3. I don't even remember this. Maybe I knocked the memory out myself. But I would bang my head against the wall. I would hurt myself before I hurt somebody else.
Wow.
So I would get mad. Like I would do things to hurt myself. You know, punch the wall. Like do anything I can to hurt myself, but not hurt anyone else. I would break my toys. You know, I would do stuff like that. You know, and so for me, that aggression went inward. You know, yeah,
That's
growing
deep,
up.
bro.
That's crazy.
Word, right? And most people would fight other people. I fought myself, and so like that's how it affected me. Like spankings and whoopings affected me that way. But I was gonna say what you were saying with the teachable moment. I was thinking about like I was thinking about writing, right? And like and how important it is when you write to, you know, how the content doesn't matter. The content of what you're writing doesn't really matter. If you want to get at a concept like something like love or whatever, you could write about a cricket, you could write about a flower, you could write about your girlfriend, you could write about anything and still talk about love. But I say that because I feel like when you write, it's more important to get at the affect or like the subconscious communication of what you're writing than the conscious. So I thought of that with, you know, parents and how they teach their kids. And like, you know, back in the day, like in the old days, they used to tell their children folk tales, you know, and stories when they wanted to teach them a lesson, you know.
And get them to walk in a direction. Exactly,
get them walking in a direction. But they allowed you as a child to make up your own mind, like you were saying with the white kids, make up your own mind and decide for yourself, not only what to do, but why you're gonna do it, you know. So if you tell a kid to share, you're just telling them, you're speaking to their conscious.
Right.
They don't know why, so they're not gonna do it unless you put some sort of punishment behind it.
Right.
Share, or I'm gonna kick your ass. Then they're gonna share.
Right.
Until they don't share, then they get
really
their ass
understand
kicked.
why they should share though.
Exactly.
They don't understand why.
Exactly.
And
they don't understand why.
And then guess what? We grow up, make money, and be like, man, I ain't sharing. Because the one thing I was always forced to do,
yes,
but I was never taught to do.
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying?
That's so true.
And then you wonder why so many black people ain't into philanthropy.
Yo, they not. Yo, that's right. That's
which is what creates governments.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Think about this, bro. What could Michael Jackson ever have done as a shorty to deserve Joe Jackson to hit him?
Right.
He was a special child.
He left talent in the pool.
Dude, it wasn't I don't think it was no ass whooping that he got that made him Michael Jackson.
Right.
He was already special.
Right.
Thank you.
All Joe Jackson did was warp him.
Yeah.
He didn't sculpt him.
You see all the curses that came from that.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
That's crazy.
probably did more damage than.
Yeah, we don't know.
Did more damage.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, now imagine if he would have had him dancing in the discipline of the training,
Yes.
minus the beating.
Still be
Right.
here.
Guess what? They might have innovated an even newer style
Right. Totally. Yo,
from the
that's
freedom
real.
of it.
Yeah, like
Wow.
that's why I agree with you on the
Don't hit
spanking.
your kids.
Don't hit your kids
Wow.
because man,
Right.
it's better to teach them. It's better to teach them the lesson to allow them to.
I gotta rethink my thinking.
No, it's okay.
He's gotta
We all
figure
do.
out, like you were saying, like you realize you were too ignorant to teach, and I'm like, that's real because to teach, you know, you gotta really know how to do that. That's not something you know. It's easy to tell somebody, don't do that. Don't have a baby with this girl or whatever because it's gonna be this, but you know your son might still do it. Like
But you know what Nelson Mandela says about that?
what up?
Nelson Mandela says, I don't believe in losing. Either I win or I learn.
Thank you. I feel that. That's
You
real.
know what I'm saying?
That's
All right, guys,
real.
we
Either
gotta-
you win or you learn.
All
We
right.
gotta wrap it up.
We
a
can
little
do
bit,
this
but
all
before-
day, bro.
But before we go, just real quick, you know, this is your first time at the Playlist Retreat.
Yes.
You've probably been here since the beginning.
Yeah.
So just talk about what your experience has been like, real quick, in a few words, and what you're expecting for the rest of the retreat.
Man, yeah, okay, yeah, like you said, it's my first playlist retreat. Is this your first too? Or you-
No.
Oh, you
I'm a part of the walls.
He
Oh,
is the, he's
shit.
the playlist.
Okay.
He's the playlist ambassador. He might be the VP.
Hey, okay.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I get in trouble too. I do bad things.
Word. Okay.
I get into mischief.
Word. Okay. Cause like, yeah, this is my first one. Like, you know, all my conversations have been just like this one. You know, like, you know, cause I realize as creatives, you know, yeah, I do music, but that's not all I am. We're all human beings. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So we come here, we're talking about generational trauma. We're talking about our parents, talking about kids. And some people will be like, "Oh, I thought they were gonna talk about music," but it's like I realize, you know,
But we are talking
we
about
are talking about music.
Yeah,
Yes,
we are.
That is music.
That is music.
Yeah,
Come on now.
Where the fuck you think it comes from? You know, like it comes from our wellness and our experiences. So I'm taking away from this just that big reminder. Like, don't forget about, you know, never forget about my own humanity, and to remember what's important. Like, you know, sometimes I get into a rut where I'm like, music, this, everything about music, but you know, that fucked me up once. You know, like it got me to a place in my life where I wasn't, you know, talking to my family. I was distant from them, and I felt like I was just, you know, too busy for them and shit like that, you know, until I lost somebody that was really close to me, and that really was my wake-up call. So this was just like a reminder that, you know, so
Word.
So yeah, yeah.
So I just do it like this.
Yes.
It ain't just the street playlist retreat where black men get together around the table and eat, where black men get together around the table and meet, where black men get together around the table to beat. Check it out, goddamn, man. It's like the prime. I'm hanging out with my guys, got it going on. I see the camera, not an amateur, acadamateur, freestyle coming from the head. I'm the manager, no, I'm the artist, I'm the smartest, I'm the hardest. Come with it. That's all I got. That's all I got. That's all I got.
I want to thank my guests, Ron Fest and Cam Obi. Appreciate y'all.
Yes,
Love, bro.
We're going to end it right there.
Yo, that was an awesome way to end it, actually,
Playlist
bro.
Retreat 2018. Appreciate y'all.
Love you,
Yes,
bro.
sir. Yeah, man.